Welcome to episode 132 of the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business. I'm Brian Fisher. Are you a business owner or executive searching for practical strategies to grow your company? This podcast series focuses on the various subjects and topics to help you run a successful, profitable business and is targeted to business owners and C-suite executives, but anyone interested in business can benefit. It reflects my 34 years as a business owner and subsequent years as a business mentor and consultant. They're approximately 15 minutes long, so you can listen while commuting. In the previous episode, 131, our guest was Pete Sacco, discussing success without fulfillment. Today's episode discusses leveraging the 80-20 rule with Michael Barbarita. Based out of Buzzards Bay, Massachusetts, Michael Barbarita is the owner of Step CFO, a company that provides part-time CFO services. Let's welcome Michael Barbarita. Michael, welcome to the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
Thanks for joining us today, Michael.
Excellent.
Mike, I'm always interested in people's stories. What's your background becoming the owner of Step CFO?
Well, back in 1999, I just sold my second business successfully. My first business sold for multiple seven figures. And of course, I thought I could do no wrong. I started out with a company called Ski Town USA. We were a 5-store chain in the Boston area, ski retail chain in the Boston area. Grew that company from $2.5 million to $8 million, sold it. Then I bought some cookie dough recipes for a husband and wife team and started a company called Cookies to Scoop Frozen Cookie Dough. Then sold that company to a frozen dessert distributor in the Boston area. And then I had a failure. I started an outpatient rehabilitation facility called Freedom Therapy Center. And the reason why I was successful in the businesses that I was successful in it is because I always implemented business and financial strategies that my competition wasn't doing. But all of a sudden, I took stupid pills when I started Freedom Therapy Center. And I did everything that my competition was doing. So I fell on my face. But when I learned two things when I fell on my face. Number one, you can't keep doing what your competition is doing. Number two, the hardest step to take after you fall on your face is the next step. And so 30 days after I closed Freedom Therapy Center, Step CFO was born. And I've been doing that since 2007. And in addition to fractional CFO services, we also do strategic implementation, which is really important because it combines the financial with the strategy on how to really grow and scale.
That's a great story, a great background, Michael. And we always seem to do better once we've stumbled, when we think we can do no wrong, and then we do.
That's right. The problem is I didn't learn from my success. I just threw that out the window and just copied what the competition was doing and got my head kicked in.
Well, I like your stupid pill analogy.
Yeah.
This episode's topic is leveraging the 80-20 rule. How can you use the 80-20 rule to gain time and freedom in your business?
Well, Brian, it's interesting. When I was writing my book called Powerful Business Strategies and doing research for the book, it always bothered me that business owners struggled. And so a lot of the reason why they struggle is there's all these areas of responsibility that a business owner is actually responsible for. And what they do, and what they have a tendency of doing, is they run to a marketing agency. And the marketing agency skips over all the areas of responsibility and starts running social media ads for the company. And that's kind of starting in the weeds. So running social media ads is really doing things in the wrong order. So what I discovered when I was doing research on my book is I utilized the 80-20 rule. Now, by the way, no one is ever wrong about the 80-20 rule about anything. And most business owners that I've interviewed say that the 80-20 rule in business means that 80% of their revenue comes from 20% of their customers. They're absolutely right. But what I did when I was doing research with my co-author for the book, what we did is we looked at 80% of your revenue can be driven by 20% of what you do every day. And so what we looked at is what is that 20% that business owners should be focused on that drives 80% of the revenue, making just about everything else secondary. Okay. And we narrowed it down to 7 steps that we call the 7-step pathway to profit formula. And if you'd like, I could go through those 7 steps.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. So the first one is pretty obvious. It's leads, but not just any leads. We're talking about how that business owner can attract their ideal customer. So now that they're attracting their ideal customer, the second area is conversions. How do I convert more of those leads into my sales process? So I'm attracting the right customer. I'm converting them into my sales process. The third area is how do I close or enroll more of them into my products or services? I'm getting better quality leads. I'm converting more of them into my sales process. I'm closing more people and selling more of my products or services. The fourth area, a highly neglected one, by the way, is instead of me having to spend more money to get new customers, how do I retain the customers that I have? So customer retention. And here's the fifth area. I'm attracting the right customer, getting better quality leads. I'm converting more of them into my sales process. I'm closing more customers. I'm keeping the customers I have. Now, how do I increase the average dollar per sale per transaction? And the sixth area, how can I get my existing customers to buy more often from me? So I'm attracting the right customer by getting better quality leads. I'm converting more of them into my sales process. I'm closing more customers. I'm keeping the customers that I have. I'm increasing the average sale per transaction, and I'm selling that to them more often. And this all leads to the seventh area, which is controlling your costs. And as we all know, revenue is for bragging, but what we bring home is what really matters. And that's the 7-step pathway to profit formula. That drives 80% of the revenue. If you can focus on those 7 things, you will drive 80% of your revenue.
It is so important to focus on the 20% that brings in the 80% of the revenue. So often we get pulled away from doing that.
Absolutely. And this is where you have to prioritize what you do every day. And if you focus on this 20%, a lot of things are going to happen that are favorable. And even though some things might have been put off, there's a lot of favorable things that are going to happen as a result. And it's not easy to focus on these areas. You know, business owners don't necessarily like going out getting leads. You know, they don't like necessarily analyzing their numbers, right? They hate the numbers and the data, God forbid. Because you have to track your conversion rate, your conversion percentage into your sales process. You have to track your closing rate. You have to see how your customer retention's going. Because a lot of us, customer retention, I mentioned, is the most neglected area because a lot of us, we business owners think that once we get a customer, we get to keep them by default. Well, that's not what happens in the real world. So customer retention is important to focus on.
We're speaking with Michael Barbarita, the owner of Next Step CFO, a company that provides part-time CFO services. Michael Barbarita is an accomplished entrepreneur, award-winning public speaker, and co-author with over 40 years of success across retail, manufacturing, and service companies. His company, Next Step CFO, provides business owners with more time, freedom, and more consistent profits through implementation of financial and business strategies that their competition isn't doing. Now let's get back to the questions. Michael, what's a position of market dominance, and why do all businesses need one?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Brian. What we have discovered when we were doing research in our book is that the key to successful marketing is getting into the mind of your ideal customer. Okay, that's easy to say. But what we found was, and by the way, we had to go back to 1931 to find that. But what we found was, as we kept digging, that the key to successful marketing is surrounding 2 emotions. Number 1, the problem the customer has and doesn't want. And number 2, the solution they want, they can't find. If you can corner those 2 emotions, then you will get into the mind of your ideal prospect. And we have a formula that we use. It's called the conversion formula. And the conversion formula is a 4-step formula. That needs to be done in the exact order. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And let me just quickly go through those 4 steps. Step 1 is captivate. Captivate is a headline that states the problem that the customer has and doesn't want. It's the first thing that your prospect should see or that you say when they come in contact with your brand. The second step of the formula is called fascinate. That's the solution that they're looking for that they can't find. The third step of the formula is educate. And you need to educate the customer on why your solution is far superior to the competition. And the fourth component is the offer, the close. That needs to be so compelling, so irresistible that the prospect can't turn it down. The position of market dominance is the first 2 steps of the conversion formula. The captivate, problem, the fascinate, the solution. And if you can get those 2 right, then you will get in the mind of your ideal prospect and you will convert them famously. You will increase your closing rates. You'll also increase your conversion rate into your sales process.
Michael, what results or lessons learned have you seen with businesses and individuals that have implemented your recommendations?
The lesson that they learn is what I learned when I fell on my face, is that you just can't keep doing what your competition is doing. Because, Brian, if your listeners go to their competitor's website, they're going to see what I call I hope so marketing. And what is that? And these are not positions of market dominance, okay? But everybody's using this jargon. Largest selection, lowest prices, best service, highest quality, most professional, been in business 250 years. We work harder. We're the experts, honest and sincere. By the way, the Boston Strangler thought he was honest and sincere. So, that really doesn't work that well, that comment. But with those comments, the customer is saying to themselves, I hope so. I hope you have the largest selection. I hope you have the best service. I hope you have the highest quality. I hope you're professional. I wouldn't do business with someone who isn't professional. And that is the lesson to be learned, because you can't keep doing what your competition is doing.
We're speaking with Michael Barbarita, the owner of Next Step CFO. Michael, is there anything I've not asked that you'd like to add?
I think we covered. Let me go real quickly through the 5 components of a compelling offer, because what I said was that 4th step of the conversion formula, I said it had to be an offer that's so compelling that you can't turn it down. I don't want to leave the audience hanging on that. That's not fair. Number 1, 5 components of a compelling offer, and they could be used in unison. Number 1, urgency and scarcity. Urgency. This offer ends on Friday. Scarcity. We only have 3 left. Number 2, the second component, risk reversal. This is where the seller in the transaction takes most or all the risk. 3, adding more value to your product or service. If you could constantly add more value to your product or service at a low cost, you're going to get a higher closing rate. 4, packaging and bundling products together. That has the perception of value. And finally, being indifferent to the outcome, which is the toughest one of all, where we business owners need to be indifferent and disconnected to the outcome. Otherwise, the customer is going to think that you're out for yourself.
Michael, so much of what you've said is spot on.
Thank you.
How can people get in contact with you, Michael?
Yes. So what we do is we do what's called book interviews. And what book interview is, because business is always changing and we want to constantly update our book, because like a year ago, tariffs wasn't even in our vocabulary. So business is always changing. We want to make sure that our strategies are working in all different industries. So what we do is we interview business owners, and by virtue of that, and by the way, it's real simple, 60 minutes on Zoom, we present strategies from our book, and then we ask the question, if a business owner in your industry were to implement this strategy, what would the impact be? And we document it for the book. That's it. Business owners can go to www.nextstepcfo.net/contact. In the contact form, fill it out. In the message section, write book interview. And then I'll send you a calendar link. The beautiful thing about it is the business owner will learn strategies that their competition isn't doing.
Michael, thank you for joining us today on the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
My sincere thanks to Michael Barbarita for joining us today. Managing the performance and future direction of your company are two of the most important things you do as a leader. And I'm here to help you. If you'd like to reach out to me for business mentoring or consulting, help you with a podcast, schedule a speaking engagement, or potentially be a guest like Michael, please go to bcforg.com. There's a red Contact Us button in the middle of the homepage. These podcasts will be released the first and third Tuesday each month. This podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. In search, type BCF.org. Be sure to leave a space between BCF and ORG. And I'm looking for this podcast to move from an upper mid-tier podcast to a top-tier podcast. Please leave a positive review. Let your friends and colleagues know about it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow the podcast. Join us for our next episode, 133, when our guest will be Shane Barker, discussing profitable digital presence. In business, running a successful, profitable business is the ultimate scorecard. You are never done and can always be better. It tends to be more fun than work, frustrating at times, but can be very rewarding. From BCF ORG Corp., I'm Brian Fisher, wishing you the best. Thanks. Boy, Michael, I knew I was looking forward to talking to you. So much of it's like an arrow. It's a straight shot. It's so logical. We get wrapped up in emotions and stuff.
I know. I know.